Here's a December mood you might recognize. You grab a discounted smart doorbell, install it, and surprise! You need a monthly plan just to see last night's recording or get useful alerts. Let that sink in for a second. Smart homes used to feel like a pile of fun gadgets. Today, they're becoming long-term service relationships. The biggest question isn't which camera is best, it's which ecosystem and billing model do I want to live with for the next decade. So here's what changed this week, and why it matters. AT&T launched a bundled smart home and security service built on Google Home and Nest hardware, with professional monitoring from abode. Tech outlets spotted code in Apple's iOS that hints at a new Home Hub device. And the open-source world pushed forward with a Home Assistant update that doubles down on local, vendor-agnostic control. Meanwhile, Consumer Reporters warned holiday shoppers that many smart gifts quietly come with subscription tails. In other words, the smart home is getting serious, and the trade-offs are getting clearer. Now, a quick tour of what happened. AT&T introduced Connected Life. It's a single offer that bundles Google Home and Nest devices, abodes professional monitoring, and AT&T connectivity. You manage it through AT&T's Connected Life app alongside Google Home. The pitch is simple: one provider, one setup, and cellular backup, so critical alerts still flow during an internet outage. Google framed the partnership as combining its devices and smarts with abode's monitoring and AT&T's network reliability. AT&T's pages show at least two base plans, one for self-monitoring with smart security features, another with professional monitoring, tied to AT&T Wireless or Internet service. The big idea is to turn fragmented gadgets into a managed service. Separately, reporting on Apple's iOS beta spotted references in code to an unreleased Home Hub device. Not an announcement, no specs or dates from Apple, but it suggests Apple is preparing dedicated home hardware beyond Apple TV or HomePod. And on the open side, Home Assistant released version 2025.12. It introduced an opt-in channel called Home Assistant Labs for early features, improved energy and power dashboards, and broadened integrations, things like better Philips Hue over Bluetooth and richer Tuya and SwitchBot support. Finally, a Jacksonville TV segment reminded holiday shoppers to beware of ongoing fees. The core warning: many doorbells and cameras only unlock recording history and advanced alerts with a subscription, and returns can come with restocking surprises. So let's slow that down for a second. 3 models are lining up. Telco bundles like AT&T's that wrap hardware, monitoring, and connectivity. Big tech hubs like Google's and a potential new Apple hub that anchor an ecosystem. Open controllers like Home Assistant that keep control local and multi-vendor. Here's how they actually work. Connected Life is a stack of roles. Google's Nest cameras and doorbells are the eyes and ears. Google Home devices are the speakers and displays, the user interface. Abode is the alarm logic and the monitoring center. AT&T provides the connectivity and the aggregation layer, including cellular backup, so alarm alerts can still reach you or a monitoring agent when your broadband is down. In other words, device events, motion at your door, a door opening, a person detected, flow from Nest hardware to cloud services run by Google and Abode. The monitoring center can call you or dispatch help if you've chosen that plan. AT&T's network rides shotgun, so those critical signals don't depend entirely on your home internet. But high-bandwidth tasks like streaming video or building video history still lean on your local Wi-Fi and broadband. Here's the thing: that partition matters. It tells you which features keep working when the power flickers and which ones need the cloud. Now compare that to ecosystem hubs. Apple TV and HomePod today act as home hubs for Apple Home. Google's Nest Hub does the same for Google's World. These boxes are protocol interpreters. They speak Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, sometimes Thread, and now Matter. Matter is the common language many devices use to interoperate. Thread is a low-power mesh network that helps small sensors talk reliably. These hubs also run local automations so simple routines don't leave your house, with cloud assistance on top for voice and remote access. The rumored Apple Hub, again spotted in code, not announced, would likely push further on reliability, radios, and local decision-making. That'd make sense as homes fill with dozens of sensors where speed and stability matter. And then there's Home Assistant. It's an open-source controller you install on a little computer. Think a Raspberry Pi, a mini PC, or a NAS. It talks to many brands directly over your home network, and it can orchestrate them without relying on a single vendor's cloud. The 2025.12 release beefs up energy dashboards, so your smart plugs, inverters, or utility data can drive automations, and expands device compatibility. Labs gives power users a safe lane to try new features sooner. Let that sink in. Same house, three control philosophies: managed service, curated ecosystem, local first mix and match. So why is everyone moving this way? For telcos, bundles like Connected Life can raise average revenue per customer and make it stickier to switch. If your cameras, alarms, and automations run through AT&T, moving providers isn't just swapping a router, it's rewiring part of your home. For Google and Abode, partnering with a carrier is distribution leverage. Nest hardware ships as part of a package. Abode's monitoring reaches households that don't want to DIY, and AT&T doesn't need to build every layer from scratch. For Apple, a dedicated hub, if it ships, would treat the home as a first-class platform. Better radios, stronger Matter and Thread support, and more on-device automation would align with Apple's privacy narrative. Do more locally, send less to the cloud. For power users and integrators, Home Assistant is a resilience play. When you keep control local and vendor-agnostic, you're less exposed if a company changes pricing, retires a product, or has an outage. Here's what actually matters for buyers. Subscriptions aren't just a business model, they're a technical architecture. A lot of cameras and doorbells run their AI, things like person, package, or familiar face detection in the cloud. Video history lives there too. That's why without a plan, you might still get a live view but lose the searchable timeline or the smart alerts that make the device useful. This is where people get surprised. The doorbell price is a one-time cost. The features you wanted could be a monthly decision. Let's talk about the risks and the trade-offs. Lock-in is the obvious one. Bundling connectivity, hardware, and monitoring makes life easier up front. It also raises switching costs later. You may find that to change one layer, you need to touch two others. Privacy and data governance matter too. Carrier-managed and cloud-centric systems centralize sensitive information, video clips, presence signals, device usage patterns. Companies take security seriously, but centralization increases the stakes of breaches or legal requests compared to a local-first setup. Resilience is nuanced. A cellular backup can keep alarm alerts flowing in an outage. That's great. But high-value features, HD video history, fancy AI alerts, still depend on external clouds. If a service is discontinued or re-tiered, core capabilities can change overnight. On the Apple side, unannounced is unannounced. Code references are suggestive, not a promise of features, timing, or openness. Expectations should stay calibrated, and with open source control, responsibility shifts to you or your installer. Backups, updates, network hygiene, these become part of the job. Poorly secured systems exposed to the internet can become attack surfaces. Local first doesn't mean risk-free. It means the risks are different. So, how should you think about all this if you're a tech-curious professional or advising a team? Here are a few practical takeaways worth considering. Map your non-negotiables. If professional monitoring and a single support number matter, an operator bundle is attractive. If autonomy and portability matter, lean toward open controllers and devices with local control. Trace the data path. For any critical feature, recording, alerts, automations, ask, does this run locally or in the cloud? It helps predict what breaks during outages or policy changes. Look at total cost of ownership. Don't just price the box. Price the likely subscriptions over 3 to 5 years. Subscriptions pay for real infrastructure, but you should go in eyes open. Prefer standards-friendly gear. Matter and Thread adoption is rising. Even if you stay in one ecosystem, standards are an insurance policy for future flexibility. Plan for exit ramps. If you choose a bundle, confirm how to export your data, what works without a plan, and how hard it is to move devices if you switch providers later. For open setups, treat it like light ops. Keep software updated, avoid exposing your controller directly to the internet, and use proper authentication. A little discipline goes a long way. If we zoom out, here's the bigger story. Matter and Thread are making devices more interoperable at the network level, but the real contest is moving up the stack to services, data, and billing. Who runs your automations? Where does your video live? How are recurring fees structured? Those choices shape your everyday experience more than any single spec sheet. We'll likely see more carriers roll out smart home bundles. It's a natural add-on to broadband and 5G. If Apple's new hub becomes real, its radio mix and local automation chops will signal how hard Apple plans to compete as the home's operating system. And open platforms will keep gaining quiet traction as middleware, a safety net under changing vendor strategies. Here's what stands out. The smart home inflection isn't about a breakthrough gadget. It's about who you trust with the boring, durable parts, reliability, support, and the monthly bill. Think less like a gadget shopper and more like someone choosing a utility plan. Let that land for a moment. To recap, AT&T's Connected Life turned smart home gear into a carrier-managed service built on Google and Abode, with the promise of simplicity and backup connectivity. Reporting points to an unannounced Apple Home Hub in iOS code, signals of deeper investment in the home as a platform. Home Assistant's latest release strengthens local, vendor-agnostic control with better energy tools and broader integrations. And consumer advocates are right to say, watch the subscription fine print, especially with cameras and doorbells. If you're exploring this space, evaluate ecosystems as multi-year relationships. If you're already running one, a small investment in local control and clear exit paths can pay off later. That's the story for now. If you found this useful, a like and subscribe helps us keep making these videos.